The human who guarded the alien princess, claimed for eternity by her mother part. 1. The assignment Park Do-hyun stood at the window of his small room on the starship. He looked at the stars outside. They were beautiful, but he did not smile. He was a soldier, not a diplomat. He did not understand why they sent him here. The ship was called the Eternal Dawn. It was a diplomatic ship, not a warship. Do-hyun felt out of place. He was 32 years old. He had fought in many battles. He had scars on his body and memories that kept him awake at night. But now, they wanted him to be a bodyguard for an alien princess. A soft sound came from his door. He turned around. A man in a white uniform stood there. He was a Volante, one of the aliens who ruled a great empire across the stars. His skin was silver, and his eyes were deep purple. He looked at Do-hyun with a calm face. "The Empress wishes to see you," the man said. Do-hyun nodded. He followed the silver-skinned man through the long halls of the ship. Everything was made of crystal and light. It was strange and beautiful. But Do-hyun kept his eyes forward. He was here to do a job, nothing more. They stopped at a large door. It opened slowly. Do-hyun walked inside. The room was massive. At the far end, 2 figures waited for him. One sat on a floating throne. She was the most beautiful being Do-hyun had ever seen. Her silver skin glowed softly. Her long white hair fell like water around her shoulders. Her eyes were old, older than anything he could imagine. This was Empress Sujin, ruler of the Volante Empire for 3,000 years. Next to her stood a younger woman. She looked similar to the Empress, but her face was softer, kinder. Her violet eyes watched Do-hyun with curiosity. This was Princess Yuna, the one he was supposed to protect. Do-hyun stopped and bowed. He did not know the proper way to greet alien royalty, but a bow seemed safe. "You may rise," the Empress said. Her voice was like music, but there was power in it. "So, you are the human they sent to guard my daughter?" "Yes, Empress," Do-hyun said. He kept his voice steady. He showed no fear. The Empress studied him for a long moment. "Humans are interesting creatures. You live such short lives, yet you fight as if you have forever. Why is that?" Do-hyun thought about the question. "Because we know we do not have forever, Empress. Every moment matters to us." Something flickered in the Empress's ancient eyes. Was it interest? Do-hyun could not tell. "My daughter will be attending important meetings in the coming days," the Empress continued. "There are those who do not want peace between our peoples. They may try to harm her. You will prevent this." "I will protect her with my life," Do-hyun said. Princess Yuna stepped forward. She smiled at him, a warm and innocent smile. "You do not need to be so serious, guard. I am sure nothing bad will happen." Do-hyun looked at her. She was young, at least by Volante standards. She had never seen real danger. He had seen too much of it. "I hope you are right, Princess. But I will be ready if you are wrong." That night, Do-hyun stood outside the princess's room. The hallway was quiet. Most of the ship was asleep. But Do-hyun did not sleep. He never slept well anyway. He heard a sound. It was small, almost nothing. But his soldier's ears caught it. Footsteps, too careful to be normal. Someone was trying to be silent. Do-hyun moved. He pressed himself against the wall and waited. 3 figures appeared from the shadows. They wore black clothes and carried weapons that glowed with blue light. Assassins. They did not see Do-hyun until it was too late. The first one raised his weapon toward the princess's door. Do-hyun grabbed his arm and twisted. The bone broke with a sharp crack. Before the assassin could scream, Do-hyun's fist hit his throat. The second assassin fired. The blue light hit Do-hyun in the chest. Pain exploded through his body. It was a plasma bolt, hot enough to kill most beings. But Do-yoon was human. Humans were hard to kill. He stumbled but did not fall. Blood ran down his chest. But he kept moving. He grabbed the second assassin and slammed his head against the crystal wall. The assassin fell and did not get up. The third assassin ran. Do-hyun caught him before he reached the end of the hall. One strike to the back of the neck. The assassin dropped. The door behind him opened. Princess Yuna stood there, her eyes wide with fear. She saw Do-hyun covered in blood. She saw the 3 bodies on the floor. You saved me," she whispered. Do-hyun fell to his knees. The pain was catching up to him now. The plasma bolt had done serious damage. But he looked up at the princess and managed to speak. "That is my job, princess." Footsteps echoed through the hallway. Guards arrived, shouting and confused. And behind them, walking slowly and calmly, came the Empress. She looked at the 3 dead assassins. She looked at her daughter, unharmed. She looked at the human, bleeding on the floor of her ship, still conscious through sheer will. "Interesting," she said softly. Her violet eyes studied Do-hyun with new attention. He had taken a shot that should have killed him. He had killed 3 trained assassins with his bare hands. And even now, broken and bleeding, he stayed awake to make sure the princess was safe. "Very interesting indeed," the Empress whispered. Do-hyun finally allowed himself to close his eyes. He had done his job. The princess was safe. That was all that mattered. As darkness took him, he did not see the strange smile on the Empress's face. He did not see the way she looked at him, like someone who had found a treasure they did not expect. His story with the Volanthi had only just begun. The human who guarded the alien princess claimed for eternity by her mother part. 2. The growing Do-hyun woke up in a room made of light. The walls glowed soft blue. The air smelled clean and fresh. He tried to sit up, but pain stopped him. "Do not move yet," a gentle voice said. He turned his head. Princess Yuna sat beside his bed. She held a book in her hands, but she was not reading it. She was watching him. "How long?" Do-hyun asked. His voice was rough. 3 days, Yuna said. "Our doctors are very good. The wound is healing fast. Faster than they expected, actually. They say humans are very strong." Do-hyun lay back down. 3 days. That was too long. Anything could have happened in 3 days. "You should rest," Yuna said. "My mother has placed 20 guards around this room. You are safe here." "I was not worried about myself," Do-hyun said. Yuna smiled. It was a sad smile. "No one ever worries about themselves for me. Everyone worries about the empire, about politics, about power. But you just wanted to keep me safe. Why?" Do-hyun thought about the question. "Because protecting people is what I do. It is who I am." Over the next week, Yuna visited him every day. At first, she just sat with him in silence. Then she started talking. She told him about her life as a princess. It was not a happy story. "I have lived for 200 years, she said one evening, "but I have never had a friend. Everyone around me wants something. They want power or favor with my mother, or influence in the court. No one just wants to know me." Do-hyun listened. He understood loneliness. After his family died in the border wars, he had been alone too. The army became his family. His soldiers became his brothers. But then they died too, one by one, until he was the last one left. "I lost everyone I cared about," he said quietly. "So I stopped caring. It was easier that way." Yuna looked at him with her violet eyes. "That sounds very sad." "It is," Do-hyun admitted. "But it keeps me alive." When Do-hyun was strong enough to walk, they moved to the Volanthi homeworld. It was called Seraphel, a planet of eternal twilight. The sun never fully rose and never fully set. Everything was bathed in soft purple light. The buildings were made of crystal that sang when the wind blew. It was the most beautiful place Do-yoon had ever seen. Yuna showed him the gardens, the libraries, the ancient temples. She taught him words in her language. She laughed when he said them wrong. It was a beautiful laugh. Do-yoon found himself smiling more. He did not notice at first. But one day, he caught his reflection in a crystal wall. He looked different. Younger, somehow. Less tired. But danger still lurked in the shadows. One night, Do-yoon walked through the palace halls. He could not sleep, so he walked. He passed by a doorway and heard voices. He stopped and listened. The human must die, someone said. And the princess too. Only then can we stop this foolish peace with Earth. What about the Empress? Another voice asked. She is old and weak. Once her daughter is gone, she will break. We will take power, and the empire will be strong again. Do-hyun's blood went cold. He memorized the voices. He would find out who they were. He would stop them. The next day, he tried to warn the Empress. She received him in her private chamber. It was a room of floating crystals and soft light. She sat on her throne and watched him with ancient eyes. I know about the rebels, she said before he could speak. I have known for a long time. Then why do you not stop them? Do-hyun asked. Because I need to know who is loyal and who is not. The attack on my daughter showed me much. The assassins came from inside my own court. The Empress leaned forward. Tell me, human, what would you sacrifice to protect my daughter? Do-hyun did not hesitate. Everything. The Empress smiled. It was a strange smile, full of secrets. Yes, I believe you would. Days passed. Do-hyun and Yuna grew closer. She called him her friend, her only true friend. He called her nothing, but in his heart, she was becoming something important. Something he was afraid to name. Then came the night of the Festival of Stars. The whole planet celebrated. Lights filled the sky. Music played everywhere. People danced and laughed. Do-hyun stayed close to Yuna. He watched everyone around her. He trusted no one. But even he could not see everything. Yuna wanted to see the main celebration in the city center. Do-hyun went with her. The crowds were thick. People pushed against them from all sides. Stay close to me, Do-hyun said. I am right here, Yuna said, taking his hand. Her hand was warm. Do-hyun felt his heart beat faster. He told himself it was just because of the danger. But he knew that was a lie. Then something happened. A flash of light. A scream. People running everywhere. Smoke filled the air. Do-hyun turned to grab Yuna, but she was gone. Yuna! He shouted. Yuna! He pushed through the crowd. He searched everywhere. But she was nowhere. Then he found a piece of her dress on the ground. It was torn. Beside it was a small device, still glowing. A teleport. They had taken her. The rebels had taken his princess. Do-hyun stood alone in the chaos. Around him, guards shouted orders and people screamed. But he heard nothing. He only felt one thing, cold burning rage. He knew what he had to do. The guards would take too long. The politicians would argue about what to do. By the time they decided, Yuna could be dead. No, he would not let that happen. Do-hyun turned and walked toward the spaceport. He would find a ship. He would track the rebels. And he would bring Yuna back, even if it killed him. The human who guarded the alien princess claimed for eternity by her mother part. 3. The rescued Do-hyun stole a small ship from the spaceport. He did not feel bad about it. He would give it back later. If he survived, the tracking device on Yuna's torn dress had one small piece of data. A destination code. It pointed to a shadow moon called Netherus, a lawless place far from any government's control. Pirates lived there. Criminals, rebels. Do-hyun set his course and pushed the engines as fast as they would go. He did not sleep. For the next 72 hours, the journey took him through 3 star systems. At each jump point, he gathered information. He talked to traders, threatened criminals, and followed every small clue. The rebels were not hiding well. They were confident. They thought no one would come. They were wrong. Netherus was an ugly moon. Its surface was gray and dead. The only life existed in underground cities, carved into the rock by generations of outlaws. Do-hyun landed his ship in a small canyon and continued on foot. The first outpost he found was guarded by 10 mercenaries. They carried heavy weapons and wore thick armor. They looked dangerous. Do-hyun killed them in 4 minutes. He took their weapons and their access codes. He moved deeper into the moon. The second outpost was bigger. 20 guards, automated defense systems, locked doors. Do-hyun found a weak point in their power system. He cut it. The lights went out. The guns went silent in the darkness. He was a ghost. By the time the backup power came on, half the guards were down. The other half ran. They had heard stories about humans, about how hard they were to kill, about their terrible anger when someone hurt the people they protected. Those stories were all true. Do-hyun pressed forward. A bullet hit his arm. He kept moving. A blade cut his side. He kept moving. Someone threw acid at him. It burned his skin. He kept moving. Pain was just information. It told him he was still alive. Hours passed. Or maybe days. Do-hyun lost track of time. He only knew one thing. Yuna was ahead. He had to reach her. Finally, he found the main base. It was a fortress built into the rock. Hundreds of rebels waited inside. They had ships, weapons, and soldiers. They thought they were safe. Do-hyun walked through the front door. The battle that followed would become a legend. One human against an army. He used guns until they ran out of bullets. He used knives until they broke. He used his bare hands when nothing else was left. They shot him. They stabbed him. They poisoned him with a dart to his neck. He kept fighting. The poison slowed him down. His vision became blurry. His legs felt heavy. But he did not stop. He could not stop. Yuna was somewhere in this place, scared and alone. He had promised to protect her. Finally, he reached a door at the end of a long hallway. Bodies lay behind him, too many to count. His own blood mixed with the blood of his enemies on the floor. He pushed the door open. Yuna sat in a small room. Her hands were tied. Her face was wet with tears. But when she saw him, her eyes went wide. Do-hyun, she cried. He tried to smile. It hurt too much. He stumbled toward her and fell to his knees. His body had finally reached its limit. I found you, he whispered. You are dying, Yuna said. Her voice shook. Why did you come alone? Why did you do this? Do-hyun looked up at her. His vision was fading. Dark spots danced in front of his eyes. But he could still see her face, still see her violet eyes filled with tears. Because you were worth it, he said. Then he collapsed. Yuna screamed his name. She pulled at her ropes, but they would not break. More rebels would come soon. They would find her protector dead on the floor. They would kill her too. No, she would not let that happen. Something woke inside Yuna, a power she had never used, barely even knew she had. The blood of the Empress flowed in her veins. That blood carried ancient magic. Light exploded from her body. The ropes around her hands turned to dust. The walls cracked. The floor shook. When the rebels came running, they found the princess standing over her fallen protector. Her eyes glowed pure white. Energy swirled around her like a storm. You will not touch him, she said. Her voice echoed with power. The rebels attacked. Their weapons meant nothing. Yuna raised her hand, and they flew backward. She stood like a goddess, protecting the human who had given everything for her. She held them off for 2 hours. When the Velanthi rescue fleet finally arrived, the Empress herself led the landing party. She walked through the ruined base, stepping over fallen rebels until she found her daughter. Yuna sat on the floor. Do-hyun's head rested in her lap. She stroked his hair gently. She did not look up when her mother arrived. "He is dying," Yuna said. Her voice was empty, exhausted. "He came for me. He fought all of them alone. And now he is dying." The Empress knelt beside them. She looked at the human's broken body. His heartbeat was almost gone. His breathing was shallow. Velanthi medicine could not save him. The damage was too great, but there was another way. The Empress placed her hand on Do-hyun's chest. She felt his fading life force. She felt his stubborn will, still fighting even now, still refusing to give up. "Interesting," she whispered. "Very interesting." She looked at her daughter. "There is one way to save him, but it will change everything. For him, for you, for all of us." "I do not care," Yuna said. "Save him, please." The Empress nodded slowly. She lifted Do-hyun in her arms as if he weighed nothing. "Then we return to Sarafel," she said, "and we begin the ritual." Behind them, the ruined base burned. A single human had done this. A single human had torn through an army for love. The galaxy would never forget. The human who guarded the alien princess, claimed for eternity by her mother part. 4. The claiming deep beneath the crystal palace, there was a room that few had ever seen. It was old, older than the palace itself. The walls were covered in writing from a time before history. Lights floated in the air, soft and golden. The Empress carried Dawn's broken body into this room. She laid him on a stone table in the center. Yuna followed close behind, her face pale with worry. "What is this place?" Yuna asked. "This is where our bloodline began," the Empress said. "And this is where I will give this human a new life." She moved around the table, touching symbols on the walls. They began to glow. The air grew warm. Something powerful was waking up. "Mother," Yuna said carefully, "what are you going to do?" The Empress stopped. She looked at her daughter with ancient eyes. "There is a ritual. It is called the Eternal Bond. It ties two souls together across time and space. The bonded ones share life force, share strength, share eternity." Yuna's eyes went wide. "Eternity? You mean he will live as long as we live? He will be part of our bloodline, part of our family." The Empress looked down at Do-hyun's still face. "This ritual has not been performed in 1,000 years. It has never been performed on an outsider. But this human has earned it. Why?" Yuna asked softly. "Why would you do this for him?" The Empress was quiet for a moment. When she spoke, her voice was different, softer, more human. "I have ruled for 3,000 years. I have seen empires rise and fall. I have watched stars die. In all that time, I have never seen anyone do what this human did. He walked alone into death to save my daughter. He fought an army with nothing but his will. Even now, his heart refuses to stop beating." She touched Do-hyun's forehead gently. "That kind of loyalty, that kind of love, it is rare, precious. It should not be allowed to die." The Empress raised her hands. Light poured from her fingertips. It surrounded Do-hyun like a gentle river. The symbols on the walls grew brighter. The whole room hummed with power. "I claim this soul," the Empress said. Her voice echoed with ancient authority. "I bind him to my blood. I tie him to my line. From this moment until the end of time, he is mine. He is ours." The light exploded. Yuna had to close her eyes. The power was too bright, too strong. She felt it wash over her like a warm wave. Something deep inside her stirred, something connected to her mother, and now to Do-hyun as well. When she opened her eyes, everything was different. Do-hyun lay on the table, breathing steadily. His wounds were healing before her eyes. The burns faded. The cuts closed. The broken bones mended. And his face had changed. Just a little. His eyes opened. They were still human eyes, still the same warm brown. But now they had small flecks of violet in them. The color of the Volanthi bloodline. What? He whispered. His voice was stronger than it should have been. What happened? Yuna rushed to him. She grabbed his hand and held it tight. You are alive. Mother saved you. She performed the eternal bond. Do-hyun sat up slowly. He looked at his hands. They felt different, stronger. He could feel energy flowing through his body, energy that had not been there before. I do not understand, he said. The Empress stepped forward. She looked tired, but there was a small smile on her face. You are no longer fully human, Park Do-hyun, but you are no less yourself. I have simply given you time. Time to protect my daughter. Time to live. Time to find whatever happiness this universe can offer. Do-hyun stared at her. I never asked for this. No, the Empress agreed. You asked for nothing. That is why you deserve everything. Word of the ritual spread quickly. Within days, the whole palace knew. A human, bonded to the imperial bloodline. A human, made eternal. The court was in chaos. Some nobles were furious. They called it an insult to their traditions. They demanded the bond be broken, the human be removed. The Empress called them to the throne room. She sat on her crystal throne and looked at them with cold eyes. This human, she said, fought through an army alone to save my daughter. This human took wounds that would have killed any of you 10 times over. This human proved himself more worthy than every noble in this room combined. She stood up. Power radiated from her body. The nobles stepped back in fear. He is mine now, the Empress declared. He is ours. He is family. Anyone who harms him harms me. Anyone who insults him insults my blood. Is that clear? No one dared to argue in the days that followed. Do-hyun struggled with his new reality. He spent hours in the training rooms, testing his new body. He was faster now, stronger. His wounds healed in minutes instead of days. He did not need to sleep as much, but he also felt things he had never felt before. He could sense Yuna's emotions, her happiness, and her fears. He could feel the Empress's presence, like a warm light at the edge of his mind. It takes time to adjust, Yuna told him one evening. They sat in the garden, watching the eternal twilight. The bond changes everything. I never wanted to live forever, Do-hyun said quietly. Yuna took his hand. Her touch was gentle. Neither did I was born into it. But maybe it will not be so lonely now. For either of us. Do-hyun looked at her. She was smiling, that warm, innocent smile he had come to love. And for the first time in a very long time, he felt something like hope. Maybe, he agreed. The Empress found them there later, sitting hand in hand. She said nothing. She simply placed her hand on top of theirs. 3 souls, bound together. 2 Volanthi and 1 human. A family born not of blood, but of choice. But outside the palace, the rebels were not finished. They had lost their base on Netherus. They had lost hundreds of soldiers. But their hatred had only grown stronger. They gathered their remaining forces. They called on every ally. They planned one final attack. If they could not have peace, they would have war. The storm was coming. The human who guarded the alien princess claimed for eternity by her mother part 5. Claimed for eternity, the attack came at dawn, or what passed for dawn on Serapho, when the purple light grew just a little brighter. Alarms screamed through the palace. Soldiers ran to their positions. Ships filled the sky, hundreds of them, all carrying the black flag of the rebellion. Do-hyun was already awake. He had felt something wrong through the bond, a cold feeling that woke him from sleep. He grabbed his weapons and ran. Yuna met him in the hallway. Her face was calm, but he could feel her fear through their connection. "They are here," she said. "All of them. This is their final attack. Where is your mother?" "In the throne room. She is organizing the defense." Dawn nodded. "Go to her. Stay with her. I will hold the outer halls." "No." Yuna grabbed his arm. "I will not hide while you fight." "Not again." Their eyes met. Do-hyun saw the strength in her, the same strength that had protected him on Netherus. She was not the innocent princess he had first met. She had changed, just as he had. "Then we fight together," he said. They ran to the throne room. The Empress stood before a floating map of the palace. Red dots covered the screen, showing enemy positions. There were so many of them. "They have traitors inside our walls," the Empress said, without turning around. "Half our defense codes were given to them. They are already in the lower levels." "How many?" Do-hyun asked. "Thousands. Maybe more." The crystal palace shook. Somewhere below, explosions echoed. The battle had begun. The Empress turned to face them. For the first time, Do-hyun saw fear in her ancient eyes. Not for herself, for her daughter. "For him, I must stay here and coordinate our forces," she said. "But the rebel leader will try to reach this room. He wants to kill me personally. Then I will stop him," Do-hyun said. "You cannot hold them all alone. Watch me." Do-hyun walked to the throne room doors. Behind him, he heard Yuna call his name. He felt her love and her terror through the bond. He sent her his own feelings back, calm, determined, unafraid. He stepped through the doors and closed them behind him. The hallway stretched before him, long and wide. At the far end, he could already hear footsteps. Many footsteps. The enemy was coming. Do-hyun checked his weapons. He had 2 plasma guns, 4 knives, and his bare hands. It would have to be enough. The first wave of rebels appeared around the corner. They saw him standing alone and laughed. "One human?" Their leader shouted. "Is this the best the Empress can do?" Do-hyun raised his guns. "No," he said. "I am the worst thing that will ever happen to you." He opened fire. The battle lasted 6 hours. Do-hyun stood at the center of the hallway, surrounded by fallen enemies. Whenever one wave fell, another came. They used guns, blades, explosives, even poison gas. Nothing worked. He was not just human anymore. The eternal bond had made him something more. His wounds healed almost as fast as they appeared. His strength never faded. His will was iron, but even iron can crack by the 5th hour. Do-hyun was covered in blood. Most of it was not his, but enough of it was. His guns had run out of power long ago. 2 of his knives were broken. He fought with the last 2, 1 in each hand. The rebels stopped coming in waves. They surrounded him instead, dozens of them, waiting. Their leader stepped forward. He was a tall Volante with hate in his eyes. "You should have died hours ago, human. Why do you keep fighting?" Do-hyun smiled. It was a tired smile, but it was real. "Because behind me is everyone I love, and you will not touch them." "Love?" The rebel leader laughed. "You think they love you? You are a pet to them, a useful animal. When they are finished with you, they will throw you away." Do-hyun shook his head slowly. "You do not understand, and you never will." He attacked. The rebel leader was a trained warrior, born from centuries of noble blood. But Do-hyun was something else entirely. He was a human who refused to die. He was a soldier who had nothing left to lose. He was a man fighting for his family. The fight lasted 3 minutes. At the end, the rebel leader lay dead at Do-hyun's feet. The remaining rebels ran. When the rescue forces finally broke through, they found Do-hyun standing in a hallway filled with fallen enemies. He was barely conscious. His knives had dropped from his hands. Blood ran from a dozen wounds, but he was still standing, still guarding the door. Yuna pushed through the soldiers and ran to him. She caught him as he finally collapsed. "It is over," she whispered. "You won. You saved us all. Did I?" he asked weakly. "Good." Then he closed his eyes. He woke up 3 days later in the same healing room as before. But this time, both Yuna and the Empress sat beside him. "You need to stop doing this," Yuna said. But she was smiling through her tears. Do-hyun tried to sit up. The Empress gently pushed him back down. "Rest," she said. "You have earned it." "The rebels?" he asked, finished. "The traitors have been captured. The threat is over." A threat is over. The Empress paused. "Because of you." Do-hyun closed his eyes. Relief washed through him. It was really over. A week later, a ceremony was held in the great hall of the Crystal Palace. Every noble, every diplomat, every important person in the Volanti Empire was there. Humans were there too, representatives from Earth, who had traveled across the stars to witness this moment. Do-hyun walked to the front of the hall. He wore a simple black uniform, nothing fancy. He did not like fancy things. The Empress stood waiting for him. Yuna stood beside her. "Park Do-hyun of Earth," the Empress said. Her voice filled the hall. "You came to us as a stranger. You fought for us as a warrior. You bled for us as a protector. And you loved us as family." She stepped forward and placed her hand on his shoulder. "Today, I do not adopt you as a servant or a soldier. I adopt you as my son. From this day forward, you are part of the imperial bloodline. You are a prince of the Volanthi Empire." The hall erupted in applause. Some of it was genuine. Some of it was not. But Do-hyun did not care about politics. Yuna stepped forward and embraced him. "Brother," she whispered. Do-hyun hugged her back. He had lost his family long ago in the border wars. He never thought he would have one again, but now he did. That evening, Do-hyun stood on a balcony of the palace. He looked out at the eternal twilight of Saraful. The city glowed below him. Ships moved through the purple sky. The Empress joined him. "Do you regret it?" she asked. "The bond? The eternity? Leaving your old life behind?" Do-hyun thought about the question. He thought about Earth, so far away now. He thought about his old comrades, all dead. He thought about the lonely soldier he used to be. Then he thought about Yuna's laugh, about the Empress's rare smile, about the bond that connected them, warm and unbreakable. "No," he said finally. "I have something to protect now. For eternity." The Empress smiled. It was a real smile, warm and motherly. "Then welcome home, my son." Centuries would pass. Do-hyun would become a legend. The human guardian. The eternal protector. The bridge between two peoples. Yuna would become Empress one day. And her human brother would always stand beside her. And when other species asked why they, the Lanthi, trusted humans so completely, the answer was always the same. Because when a human gives you their loyalty, they give you everything. And that is worth more than all the stars in the sky. The end.